Hello and welcome to another Orange Coast College mathematics video. In this video, we're going to learn to solve equations that are quadratic in form. Now, equations that are quadratic in form, what that really means is that they are sort of a hidden quadratic equation. And usually you can realize that the equation you have is quadratic by a substitution. Example 1. Now, we don't have a quadratic equation here. We have x to the fourth minus 13x squared plus 42. But I noticed something here, is that if I look at x to the fourth can be thought of as x squared squared. And then I have minus 13x squared plus 42 equals 0. And so if my variable were not x, if I didn't think of the unknown as being x, but as being x squared, then I have the variable squared minus 13 times the variable plus 42 equals 0. So what you can do is make a substitution here. We let y be equal to x squared. And now this equation can be rewritten as y squared minus 13y plus 42 equals 0. And that is a quadratic equation in the variable y. And to factor it, well, I just noticed that negative 13 is negative 6 plus negative 7. Negative 6 plus negative 7 would multiply together to give me 42, positive 42. So I can write this as y minus 6 times y minus 7 equals 0. And since I have this product of these two factors that equals 0, then one of them has to be 0. So either y is 6 or y is 7. Now if y is 6, that gives us that x squared is 6. And I take the square root of both sides. And so that gives me that x must be plus or minus the square root of 6. And then I do the same thing when y is 7. When y is 7, that tells me that x squared must be equal to 7. And I take the square root of both sides. And we get that x must be plus or minus the square root of 7. Example 2. All right, here we notice we have this 2x minus 1 factor showing up here, or term. And here it's squared, and here it's to the first power. So by making a substitution, say a new variable, letting that be y be 2x minus 1, this will become 2y squared minus y equals 15. And now we have a polynomial, we have a quadratic equation in the variable y. Now, you can solve this however you want. I'm going to use the quadratic formula. We start by subtracting 15 from both sides, and that will give us 2y squared minus y minus 15 equals 0. And we apply the quadratic formula, so y will be negative b, that will be positive 1, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4, which is times a, which is 2, times negative 15, which is c, all over 2a, which is 4. And this will become 1 plus or minus. So if we have, this is the square root of 1 plus 4 times 2 times 15. 4 times 2 times 15 is 120. So this is the square root of 121, which is 11. So divided by 4. So 1 plus 11 divided by 4 would be 3. 1 minus 11 divided by 4 would be negative 10 over 4, which is negative 5 over 2. So there are your two solutions for y, but y is 2x minus 1. So we have two equations here. 2x minus 1 equals 3, or 2x minus 1 equals negative 5 halves. And we solve these. The first one, you add 1 to both sides and you get 2x equals 4. Divide by 2 to get x equals 2. And for the second one, if you add 1 to both sides, you get 2x is going to be negative 5 halves plus 1 is going to be negative 3 halves. Divide both sides by 2, and you get that x will be negative 3 over 4. So maybe I should highlight your answers here. So x will be either 2 or x will be negative 3/4. Here's our final example. Now, this is not even a polynomial equation, but we have this cube root popping up in two of the terms. And you'll notice here we have an x squared and here we have an x. So the trick to doing this is to notice that I can rewrite that first term. Instead of writing it as the cube root of x squared, that is equivalent to the cube root of x squared. And now this term is a variable. If the variable was not x, but the cube root of x, right? This is the variable squared plus twice the variable plus 1. And so we make a substitution. Say let y equal the cube root of x. And now this becomes a quadratic equation. It becomes y squared plus 2y plus 1 equals 0. And that is a perfect square trinomial. It will factor into y plus 1 squared equals 0. So that means that y plus 1 must be equal to 0. And that tells us that y must be negative 1. Now, that means that the cube root of x must be negative 1. And we can simply cube both sides of this equation. And that will give us x equals negative 1. And that's it for that problem. Now, solving quadratic in form equations can be tricky because you might not even realize the equation that you have is quadratic in form. So you're going to want to practice problems either from your textbook or find some problems that are quadratic in form online. Do as many as you can, and then you'll start to sort of realize all the tricks that we can use to hide quadratics in other equations. All right, until next time, have fun.